When it comes to supersized ships, not many compare to large cruise ships. And in an ocean of these giants, Royal Caribbean's Freedom Class currently towers over them all. This class includes the Liberty of the Seas, docked at the port of Miami on the day we visited.
Well, the size of Liberty of the Seas is really a pretty amazing number. She's 160,000 gross registered tons.
She's over 1,100 feet long, sits 207 feet above sea level, and is 185 feet wide. This mighty ship is 3 times heavier than the historic ocean colossus, the Titanic. It's also about 90 feet wider, 70 feet taller, and over 200 feet longer. And how would the Liberty of the Seas compare to the Mayflower? Roughly 36 Mayflowers could easily fit within the footprint of the Liberty's main deck.
Her length is just about the height of the Empire State Building. She's huge.
A huge ship means more guests and a larger crew.
There's 3,600 guests on board, and there's just over 1,300 crew. So you really have a small city at sea. And the 1,300 crew are responsible for everything that you could think of. There's no vacation for anybody on board on the crew side. The Liberty of the Sea arrived this morning at about 6 o'clock, and she'll leave this afternoon at about 5. So the turnaround is immediate.
Within about 8 hours of that 11-hour window, the crew must transport luggage for 3,600, as well as enough supplies to feed nearly 5,000 people for a week.
This is the aft portion of the ship where we have all our provisioning for food and beverage. This is taking place today, right now. For sugar, it's approximately 6,000 pounds that we're taking, 12,000 pounds of flour just for the 7-day. Poultry items, we have 15,000 pounds of poultry meat. It's almost 87,000 bottles of beer, including the cans that we take in every voyage. So it's quite a bit of work, quite a bit.
While the guests enjoy onboard luxuries, the crew on the bridge must maneuver the mammoth ship through the seas.
The ship maneuvers like a yacht, I have to tell you. It is a big ship, it is heavy, but we have plenty of power, and it has maneuverability is like you can turn it on a dime.
That's due in part because of the ship's 2 Azipod propulsion systems, allowing it to easily maneuver in any direction without the assistance of tugboats. To go in and out of ports, the bridge gains a little extra control from a good old-fashioned steering wheel.
We have the control right away here, and we can give an order to the helmsman. He can change the heading and change the rudder angle right away.
But before the ship leaves the dock, a navigator pre-plans the route, down to every turn. He does this for redundancy.
We have it on the computer, and we also have it on the paper chart. So that's why we have the navigation officer. He plans the route.
Once the route is in the computer, it's relatively easy sailing for the crew.
When we are going between the ports, we are on most of the time autopilot, so it's automatic steering.
Out in the ocean, this floating city can reach a cruising speed of roughly 22 knots, or 25 miles per hour.
It's good. We can actually water ski behind if you like to.
To keep this cruise ship cruising requires an impressive diesel-electric system. 6 engines and generators supply up to 105,000 horsepower for the ship's propulsion, and as much as 75 kilowatts of electricity to power the rest of the ship.
The same engines produce power for the whole ship and also for the motor that drives the ship forward. Basically, it's when we have 5,000 people on board. It's a small town, and we have the same power plant which you will find ashore for this town.
From the engine room, the crew can oversee all of the ship's technical equipment, as well as its impressive water supply.
Majority of the water we have on board that we drink and what we use for our swimming pools, shower, whatever, is mainly produced on board.
2 so-called evaporators and 2 reverse osmosis systems convert over 700,000 gallons of seawater to fresh water every day.
So basically we can run without any fresh water from the shore.
Some of that fresh water goes to the ship's 3 pools, 6 whirlpools, a small water park, a surfing simulator called the Flow Rider, and an ice skating rink. Prefer to stay dry? This gigantic ship also has numerous restaurants, a full basketball court, miniature golf course, and a rock climbing wall. At the center of the ship, taking up nearly a third of its length, sits an enormous atrium called the Royal Promenade.
It is so massive and so wide open, and you really feel like you're walking down this street in any city with the staterooms looking onto the street.
While ships built with passenger comfort in mind have been sailing since the early 1800s, it wasn't until the late 1950s that the modern cruise ship industry came into being. It coincided with the emergence of the jet age, as passengers chose large, fast planes to get from point A to B. The cruise suddenly became more important than the destination.
Royal Caribbean started in 1968, and from that point on, basically, Royal Caribbean has built evolutions of ships that have doubled in size every 10 years.
To get cruise ships of this size out to sea involves at least 2 years of planning and design, and another 2 years of construction. Royal Caribbean's Freedom ships may be super, but they'll soon be sharing the ocean with an even bigger class, carrying up to 5,400 passengers.
Oasis of the Seas and her sister ship Allure of the Seas is going to be 220,000 gross registered tons. So it's the first time ever we're going to go over the 200,000 ton mark.
Supersized cruise ships are impressive,